This reading is the Buck Act of the United States of America. A map of the United States of America. It includes the 50 sovereign and independent states who are freely associated together in a union. It does not include the District of Columbia, which was created by the Constitution of the Union as a legal house of the federal government. The government was intended to be a servant to the Union states, not their master. In order for the federal government to tax a citizen of one of the several states, they had to create a contractual nexus. This contractual nexus is called Social Security. And the federal government always does everything according to principles of law. In 1935, the federal government instituted Social Security. The Social Security Board then created 10 Social Security districts, creating a federal area which covered the several states like an overlay. In 1939, the federal government instituted the Public Salary Tax Act of 1939, which is a municipal law of the District of Columbia taxing all federal and state government employees and those who live and work in any federal area. Now, the government knows it cannot tax those citizens who live and work outside the territorial jurisdiction of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, or Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2. So in 1940, Congress passed the Buck Act, codified it for USCS 104 through 113. In Section 110E, in Section 110E, this act allowed any department of the federal government to create a federal area for imposition of the Public Salary Tax Act of 1939. The imposition of this tax is at 4 USCS Section 111. And the rest of the taxing law is in Title 26. The Internal Revenue Code, the Social Security Board had already created an overlay of a federal area. As a result, the federal government created federal states, which are exactly like the sovereign states and occupy the same territory and boundaries. But those named are capitalized versions of the sovereign states. Remember that proper names and proper nouns in the English language have only the first letter capitalized. For example, the federal state of Illinois is overlaid upon the several states of Illinois or Illinois state. Further, it is designated that the federal abbreviation of IL instead of the sovereign state abbreviation of ILL. So too is Arizona designated AZ instead of the lawful abbreviation of ARIZ. California CA instead of CALIF, etc. If you use a two-letter capitalized abbreviation, you are declaring that the location is under the jurisdiction of the federal government instead of the power of the sovereign states. As a result of creating these shadow states, the federal government assumed that every area in a federal area and that the citizens therein are federal citizens. 4 USCS Section 110D. The term state includes any territory or possession of the United States. 4 USCS Section 110E. The term federal area means any lands or premises held or acquired by or for the use of the United States or any department, established or agency of the United States, any federal area or any part thereof, which is located within the exterior boundaries of any state, shall be deemed to be a federal area located in such state. There is no reasonable doubt that the federal state is imposing directly an excise tax under the provisions of 4 USCS Section 105, which states in pertinent point, Section 105, state and so forth taxation affecting federal areas, sales and use tax. A. No person shall be relieved from liability for payment of, collection of, or accounting for any sales or use tax levied by any state or by any duly constituted taxing authority therein, having jurisdiction to levy such tax on the ground that the sale or use with respect to which tax is levied occurred in whole or in part with a federal area, and such state or taxing authority shall have full jurisdiction and power to levy and collect any such tax in any federal area within such state to the named extent and with the same effect as though such area was not a federal area, irrespective of what tax is called by state law, if its purpose is to produce revenue. It is income tax or receipt tax under the Buck Act, 4 USCS Section 105 through 110. Humble Oil and Refining Company versus Calvert, 1971, 464 SW 2D period 170 AFFD text 478 SW second or 2D 926 Cert Dem 409 US 96734L ED 2D edition second 234 93 SCT 293. Thus, the question comes up, what is a federal area? A federal area is an area designated by any agency, department, or establishment of the federal government. This includes the Social Security areas designated by the Social Security Administration, any public housing area that has federal funding, a house that has a federal bank loan, a road that has federal funding, and almost everything that the federal government touches, though any type of aid. Springfield versus Kinney, 1951, APP 104 NE 2D 65. This federal area attaches to anyone who has a Social Security number or any personal contact with the federal or state government. Thus, the federal government has surplus sovereignty of the people and state sovereignty by creating these federal areas within the boundaries of the states under the authority of the federal Constitution, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2, which states, 2. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory and other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claim of the United States or of any particular state. Therefore, a U.S. citizen citizen of the District of Columbia, residing in one of the states of the Union, are classified as property and franchises of the federal government as an individual entity. Willing Steel Company versus Fox, 298 U.S. 193 LED 1143 56 SCT 773. Under the Buck Act 4 USCS Section 105 through 110, the federal government has created a federal area within the boundaries of all the states. This area is similar to any territory that the federal government acquires through purchase or conquest, thereby imposing federal territorial law upon those in this federal area. Under federal territorial law, as evidenced by the executive branches, yellow fringe merchant law flag flying in schools, offices, and all courthouses. So when you see male using a 2-letter capital abbreviation for the state, you are addressing the corporate shadow state created by the Buck Act as an extension of the federal District of Columbia, and you are accepting the jurisdiction of the federal government within the borders of the sovereign state. Then, to really lock down their control, the federal government created an artificial person to whom they would address all of their demands. This person is your name in all capital letters. Whenever you receive a letter from the government addressed in all capital letters, such as John Smith, instead of the proper English letter, John Smith, uppercase, lowercase, they are addressing a legal fiction, a straw man whom they assume they own. Since they are going on the assumption that they own this straw man, which they actually do not, and you can learn how you could take title to this straw man, they assume that whatever money comes into the property straw man belongs to the master government. What you are experiencing is an unprecedented grab for power by the federal government. In fact, agents of the federal government have no jurisdiction within the borders of these separate and sovereign United States or over the straw man unless you give it to them by your consent. But now, and this was coming from Freedom School, and there you go, the Buck Act. Well, we are coming to the realize of you could never be the United States citizen. That's something they had to set up for the people. Because they had went bankrupt and they had to set you up a business like. So you could never, ever, ever be what they stating right here. You're just the agent for it or the representative or presenter. Because representative, if you go back to read, what read mean, so you are the authorized presenter of that all capital letter name, which is a business, which is, you have unlimited funds. And another thing we're coming to the realize is if the United States is located in Morocco, and everything that goes on within the United States of America, United States, it doesn't matter. You're going back to Morocco. And the original indigenous people are like Moroccans or descendants of Moroccans. So, We always look at things in a negative. So I'm learning how to, not always look at it in a negative because of what these elders was telling us. The government don't care. The government fucking over us. Excuse my language. But I know a lot of people heard that, like, growing up and stuff. But whenever you start reading the law and stuff and not just assuming and stuff, you start seeing something different. So if I said things long time ago or while on the journey and quest to truth and knowledge, and I'm still only through a few doors, I know there's more to come. I would like to extend my apologies to any words that was not facts, not true. And it's all in my honor to be factual and truthful now. So, those mistakes made, we all make the mistakes, but it was all in good faith, with sound right conscience, for good reason, with good spirit, and with clean hands. I'm a seeker of truth. I'm a seeker of knowledge, truth, and to get to the truth, you're gonna go through some obstacles. So I'll leave it at that, you know. Peace, peace.